opportunity to meet with some of the passionate and brilliant community members along this journey. I'm 100% sure that our community is going to continually push the envelope forward on what a globally dispersed set of ambitious people can accomplish. So it has truly been my honor to work for you guys and gals over the last couple of months. I'm inspired by the AIPs that have come in. I read them all, review them all, and try and push everything down the track, both from an analysis perspective to a legal perspective to a moderation perspective, and make sure that everything lines up, and then start presenting them to the members of the community for voting. Before we jump in, I was digging around the internet and found some fun facts about our special council members that are here today. So instead of introducing them with the usual biographical introductions, I thought I would share a little bit of what I found. And so, Alexis, I see that over COVID, you became a professional pancake designer. I assumed that we'll be seeing you on a breakfast show soon, like the Food Network or something.
Look, if this tech thing doesn't work out, for sure, and for now, it's just on my Instagram.
Yeah, I found out that you're a classically trained musician that traded your piano keys for a keyboard. I guess that was a good decision or a bad decision, I'm not sure.
Well, my mother probably wouldn't agree, but I think it was a good decision.
Maria, I see that at your wedding, you, instead of doing a first dance, you actually did the limbo. Did the entire wedding party and everybody join in, or just you and your husband showing off how bendable you guys are?
It was everyone, including my dad, who is like over 70 years old. Even he did the limbo. It was pretty amazing.
That sounds pretty cool. Amy, I hear that you love mountaineering and have actually climbed the Matterhorn and Denali. Is that, do you have plans to accomplish or cap another mountain? Oh, maybe Amy's having some tech problems. We'll swing back to you, Amy. And Dean, I hear you're dreaming of going pro at playing paddle, which is similar to pickleball in Cayman. I'd love to go pro as well.
Yeah, I love paddle. Probably not going pro anytime soon, but I appreciate the vote of confidence.
Very good. So today, I think top of the hour, top of the news is we have put up on the ApeCoin discourse the first proposal that is going forward for a vote this Thursday. The numbering system, the number we've given it is AIP 21 and 22. It is a staking proposal, staking process with caps, and it was submitted right when we opened up discourse. It's gone through it's gone through the entire process. It was the very first full and complete application that we received that went through multiple rounds of questions and answers, and we finally spoke with the author and are happy to present that. Yeah, do you want to talk about this, or shall I go through the process that we went through to get to where we are? I don't know if you want to talk first about the actual proposal, or I can talk to and ask you guys for some feedback on the process that we went through to get to where we are.
So maybe I might want to sort of explain the background later, but perhaps it would be helpful for the community to understand what the process is, because I'm sure there's many questions also around, so what happened to the other staking proposals, why this one, why not others for now, and what it means. And then I'm happy to elaborate and explain, since much of it was very similar to the original AIP4, how AIP 21 and 22 are, just as a sort of, as an explanation.
Sure. So, sure, I'll quickly go through the process, and if anybody has questions, I'm definitely happy to answer them. So based on the original AIP, where we set out a process, we've tried to adhere to it as closely as possible. But to articulate what that specifically means, I'll just kind of go through it a little bit. So this AIP specifically, why was it taken up for consideration? The proposal was what we considered the first full and complete proposal. That doesn't mean that it was better or worse. We take a very unbiased perspective on things that are coming in. It was just the one that answered all of our questions first. We're lucky to have a community with so many thoughtful people who answer our questions very quickly and respond in a timely manner. But there was a lot of staking proposals, and this one certainly answered the questions. And since it was based on AIP 4 and 5 so closely, which basically just answered the cap, adding the caps, that's why it was a little bit easier in terms of running through the questions with them.
Okay.
So then how do we define, I guess a big question is, how do we define a fully completed proposal? So after it's been posted to Discourse, we receive community input and the moderators send a proposal template. Once the proposal template is completed, the moderators review the template. If there's any outstanding questions for clarification needed, the proposal will be sent back. We will analyze implementation. How does it get implemented? What are the costs? What are the legal implications? And the moderator team builds a package, a point of view, sends it all back to the author. Once the answers to our initial set of questions are received, the moderators will review the answers in this process and repeat until there are no more outstanding questions within the proposal. So it's if an answer is vague or an answer pops a new question up, we'll just go ahead and ask that new question and send it back to the moderator. We're trying to get to a point in time where we have a clear and concise picture of how someone will implement this proposal and our analysis, and present it to the special counsel of the board for further review. After all that's done, the governance process will continue with an AIP analysis report to be drafted and reviewed by the special counsel, and then put up for a vote. So then, I'm sure people want to know why this AIP became fully completed before the others. So it's important to remember that the AIP under consideration is very similar to AIP 4 with an added cap per NFT based on the airdropped amount. This means the process of understanding costs, legal implications, and so on was fairly quick, and we are ready to be done. And we've already been down this path previously, so we were aware of sort of what to do and how to do it and who to contact and how to ramp it up pretty quick. A big question I'm sure everybody'd like to know is what happens to the other staking proposals? Those proposals that specifically have to do with staking would conflict with AIP 2122 that we are putting up for vote, will be considered on pause for the time being. They will remain there while the AIP process for now, with no further action until AIP 21 and 22 have finished the voting process. We need to guarantee that each AIP is considered and properly scrutinized on its own merits in a first-come, first-served manner. If AIP 21/22 passes, the proposal, if AIP 21/22 passes, the proposals in direct conflict with it are considered null and void. This is to allow for the DAO's wishes to be honored and for the approved AIPs to become fully operational and go into effect. After all the steps for implementing AIP 21 and 22 are considered complete, there would be a 3-month window after which the DAO members would be free again to submit a new process of proposing AIPs that directly conflict with the one that was implemented. Finally, what happens if the AIP 21/22 does not pass? The previous proposals that we spoke about will become unpaused, and whichever one is deemed the next full and complete application, they will move forward with the process and go through the same steps previously outlined. So that is the entire process as we see it, and as we've implemented it. We are gearing up on getting these things ready for posting, and voting. Voting will open up on Thursday. I think every voting window is every Thursday, So that's when everybody will have the opportunity to weigh in and cast a vote for whether they want this specific proposal to pass or not.
Great. And maybe just to, for those who are maybe not entirely familiar with AIP 4 and 5, as it is now 2122 proposed by, community member Giacomo, which is now currently, at the forum for everyone to review and analyze and, comment on, is the idea that the NFTs themselves are the utility and the staking in itself is the coin, which is ApeCoin. And there's this distinction, and perhaps it's worth reiterating, once more, that the purpose of ApeCoin is to further the foundation of ApeCoin and expand it as far as the mission is concerned. But to pay tribute and respect, obviously, to the members that have made this possible, which is all the great people who own Bored Apes, Mutant Apes, and so forth. Right, that's kind of how it started, but is it expected to extend beyond that? One of the things that AIP 2122, with 4 and 5 being the predecessor, was attempting to resolve was the idea that NFTs themselves need to be continue to be used in multiple ways in the way that the original creator, which is Yuga Labs, intended for. Meaning it could be used as something that could be used in membership, for instance, or it could be used inside games, or it could be used in all sorts of ways. And so that's the reason we decided not to create a staking, think of a staking mechanism that would lock up the NFT, because out of our own past experience, locking up an NFT not only prevents the NFT from being tradable in and of itself, it also creates a situation where the NFT has limited utility because it can only serve one function, which is it would perhaps stake, right? Whereas actually the NFT could serve many functions, right? So the idea is, how do you enhance the network effect of the ownership of these NFTs? And the more utility there can be, the more valuable the NFT itself can be, of which staking is only one such utility. It should not be the final or only utility. That was the intention behind that. And then, the consideration as to why should it be one where one has to commit tokens. And of course, part of the critique has been, well, if the NFTs are now functioning like a key and they function as an unlock for the actual sort of ape that is locked with a one times cap, right? Then the concern is, well, if you lose the NFT, then doesn't it mean that the ape in itself might potentially also get lost? And the answer is yes, it would, but you'd have to basically maintain the security of your NFT. But on the other hand, the purpose behind that is that there's also a commit, because it is hard to determine whether you've actually created a sort of a commitment in terms of a stake of your ape versus one where maybe it might just look like a claim, which is not to say that couldn't be a functioning system, but it is one that perhaps might be more easily gamed. But these have been part of those considerations. That was the origin and the genesis of the thought behind this. And the reason why caps were introduced, for just to reintroduce it to everyone here again, if they don't have that background, is that the concern was, well, wouldn't people who have unlocks in 6 months down the road be in a position to basically just take over all the staking pools because they have perhaps a large number of ape coins that comes released? So the caps actually solve for that, because it means that there's only a maximum amount of which is one times currently as proposed, that you've received from the original claim that can be sort of staked. Which means that because NFT holders are already widely distributed for the most part and are already fairly decentralized, it's not possible for someone who has, for instance, a very significant amount of ApeCoin to basically take over an entire pool. In order to do that, he would need to also have a very significant amount of NFTs, which, outside of the potentially prohibitive price structure, also could benefit the NFT holders, because it means that more demand might be driven by people who might want to buy NFTs if that is, if the person would want to sell. So it was an attempt to try to balance all the concerns around it. Of course, as one would say, nothing is ever perfectly perfect. This is always a sort of an attempt to get to the sort of a pinnacle of consensus. But of course, as this process has shown, which I think is good, is that we've been open for discussion, open for critique. We welcome it, and in fact, we hope that through this process, there's a deeper understanding, or perhaps maybe even the development of a better system that can evolve because of the discussion that we have. So I'll leave it with that.
Thanks, yeah. And So I guess there's been a lot of discussion around staking, and I'd love to hear from to start off with from the some of the other council members on their views. I think it's important that we all articulate what our perspectives are, what we like about it, how we would like it done differently or the same. So if maybe I can just call on Amy or Maria to kind of chime in and give us a bit of your perspective on this process.
Yeah, I mean, oh, sorry, Maria,
go ahead, Amy. You go first.
Okay, so I'm just going to be really brief because I actually think the community was engaged in a really great discourse this past week. I think that Kobe wrote up a post that actually raises some really great first principles thoughts and questions around, if you take a step back and we think about what is the purpose of staking? It's a part reward, it's part incentivization, and what can we be doing with the pool of tokens instead as a community? I think they raise really valid points. I think that from a numbers perspective, the current proposal is for 17, I think it's 17.5% of the total token supply, right, to be airdropped, which candidly I feel is pretty high. And if we think about it from a high level perspective, with a value of a couple $2 billion, depending on the valuation of the ApeCoin, what else can we be doing in terms of grants and potentially promoting other building on using the ApeCoin in terms of even acquiring potentially other companies with this amount of value. There's a lot of different ways you can do. I mean, certainly staking is one of them. And so I actually really encourage people from the community to step up and for us to actually have a debate about it.
Yeah, and I think echoing that point, it's balancing the short term goals of the DAO and all these proposals, but then also with the long term, right? And if the long term is to have Ape be the foundational layer for this ecosystem, this metaverse ecosystem that we want to create, how do we get to that point? And for me, I think part of getting to that point is adding more and more utility over time, right? And so things like, a lending service or, like what Ape Drops is doing with their weekly drops, all of those things that add utility and functionality and make NFTs more usable and give them more purpose, I think, is very valuable for us. And so how do we actually marry staking as a small subcomponent of it, possibly, and then how do we actually encourage the community and the ecosystem to continue to build on top of this foundation that we've kind of laid out? And so that's kind of how I think about the long term. The long term is, okay, we're starting with staking, but then where do we go from here, and how do we continue to build more and more value to this ecosystem as a whole? And so that's something I think we're looking to the community for their help, advice, feedback, and to have this conversation.
Right. And one thing maybe just to add on this one, there are two proposals which echo the way that sort of AIP 4 and 5 was built, which is one is the staking mechanism, which is up for a vote in and of itself. And then the second one, which in this case is AIP 22, discusses the actual amounts in question, right? So meaning they are separated events. So to the extent that the community might say, well, we like staking, but we don't like the amounts, for instance, it is almost possible to approve one but not approve the other, just because of the fact that amounts can still be subject to a discussion while development work on staking could begin if that was what the community wanted, if they thought that staking mechanism made sense.
So I think one point that Amy said of long-term perspective and building value and making sure that we receive good proposals that want to continue to build this community, integrate our tech or our value tokenomics into other communities and networks is a very important very important point that I would like to really just double down on. And as the community is looking at, we have this treasury and we need to invest this capital into different projects. If the community has ideas that aren't, maybe they're not totally fleshed out yet, or maybe they need a bit of help. We're like open to helping. We're open to if you put it in discourse and put it in one of the forums, I can guarantee that I'll be somewhere on there chiming in and adding my 2 cents and trying to push the ideas forward and make sure that they're as thought out as possible. But I think this is a great opportunity to pull Alexis in on sort of the idea of community and growing the community and what growing community looks like in sort of the internet world, or the cloud communities or cloud cities, I guess, or whatever kind of term we want to use. But from your perspective, do you think that what could we be doing better? What could we pull in more on? Is staking the perfect first step towards solidifying value creation, whether it's maybe medium term or shorter term timelines, but overall just getting to where we want to go?
Yeah, and I think this is without a doubt new territory. I like the idea of aligning incentives for the long term, and the nice thing, the nice byproduct of staking is it is such a high conviction. I wouldn't call it even a gesture, but it's a very high conviction gesture from the community, right? Because it's explicitly saying, I believe in this. I want, I'm making the sort of deposit both figuratively and literally. And that is the kind of thing that's going to incentivize more and more people to be building on top of this entire platform and on top of this community. And so for me, anything we can do to further align the goals of the broader Ape community with this DAO is a winner. And even to the extent of speaking about the community, I know we've got some community members who wanted to chime in as well. We should hear from too. I think there were, I'm very clear, not making any judgments about the particular proposal, but I do like anything that's aligning folks for the long term.
And I think I just want to reiterate something. I think that's right. That anything that gives people a reason to hold the coin, or be able to say, hey, this is why I support this ecosystem, I think is great. I think we can also learn from past examples and people who have done this in the past, because this is still such new territory. So any examples that we can learn from is great for us. And I think when we look at DeFi, for example, like one of the challenges that the DeFi space has had with staking in general is that it has aligned incentives on a short time horizon, right? Where people are incentivized with these tokenomics to stake for a small period of time. But then we've also seen, as a result, a lot of these players, a lot of these stakers end up being mercenary capital. And so as soon as the token rewards go down over time, right, they're going to go to the next thing and the next thing and the next thing. And so thinking through, okay, we can use the pros of using those mechanisms and like the benefits that come from it, but then how do we also align people over a longer time horizon? And this is all new, right? And so we're still figuring out what the right mechanisms are, and a lot of people have a lot of different ideas, but I think being able to align those short-term incentives along with the going forward with a much longer time horizon is going to be really important for us.
Yeah, I agree. I think for me, I guess I think the staking is a good first step, right? It's baby steps. It gets us the proposal itself, right? Like putting it up, having a vote. It gets us taking our first step. Things are moving forward, and I'm fairly happy with that. So I see we have some questions, some folks with their hands up. So I think we should just open it up to the community. And so maybe we'll say BAYC 364 if you want to jump in here. I think we'll request your we'll prove your.
Oh wow! I feel kind of honored to be the first non-board member to talk in the ApeCoin community. Anyways, I actually agree with everything that everyone's saying. I actually have recently put something in the discourse, and I see us keep coming back to the same narrative that we want to really kind of get the community involved in everything. And I think that starts with education. I think that there's a knowledge gap between like a lot of the Bored Ape holders and the people that hold ApeCoin ultimately, and like how DAO mechanics actually work. So I put a proposal up that basically is just talking about allocating a budget strictly focused on tutorials, like simple, easy, concise, easy to understand tutorials that can show people the value of a DAO and why they should use it. Because I feel like we can do better as far as bringing in the mass amount of the ApeCoin community, because I'm in there and there's some people I see the same faces, but I really feel like that should be something that we focus on, because the more people that we can get in that are actually participating, then we're going to reach a truer consensus, so to speak. So yeah, that's kind of what I wanted to talk about. I think that there needs to be a little bit more education on how people should participate and how easy it is, and how fun it is to really get your voice heard and have a bigger impact than just being on Twitter and writing something. You can actually make a difference in the DAO. So that's kind of what I wanted to talk about.
So maybe I'd like to respond to that. But first of all, thank you, Gogo, for this. I think it's a great suggestion. Education is really important. I think one of the things that often is missed in the construction of democratic frameworks, which, if you think about it, a DAO, that's really what it is, that it's not actually about pulling the sort of bringing the top even higher, but really how to bring everyone, the masses, sort of closer to the top, as it were, bringing them up in a more equitable fashion. Because in order to get their agreement, you have to educate them, right? And in some ways, although we haven't done the tutorial approach, which I think is a great idea, and perhaps you can put that up as a proposal more formally to think about, for us to consider.
Yeah.
As a vote, I think really, if in some ways this entire sort of staking discussion, which has had quite a bit of discourse, has actually educated a lot of people about what staking is and what the purpose is, the good and the bad, the concerns, maybe also the FUD, right? But all of that is part of the conversation that helps educate the space broadly. And I would wager that, despite the fact that the first proposal failed, and who knows if this one will fail or not, actually the beauty of it is that slowly but surely everyone is getting a little bit more aware. And the other thing, of course, is that ultimately this is, it may end up, and this is where discourse is so valuable, it may end up creating a scenario where someone from the community is going to come up with something that is far better, or maybe more creative, or more interesting, or solves a problem better, because we can now truly harness the community effort. But this is the beginning, right? This is new ground, as Alexis mentioned. So we're not in a position to sort of see all of that just as we get started. But I think we're in the beginning of this. And so I really like the idea of sort of investing more in education. If you think about it, all democratic institutions, what do they have in common? Typically strong education systems.
Yeah. Like I think I won't take up too much more time, but I think that everybody wants. I mean, look how many people we have on this Twitter space, and we have the best, most passionate community revolving around these brands, and it's just like I feel that just with some really, really nicely done tutorials, video tutorials they can even be really simple. Sometimes people want to do something, they just got to be walked through the door, and we all know that like video consumption and video content consumption is so much more effective than written text. I mean, obviously if they're going to participate in the DAO, then they're going to be reading and stuff, but just some easy like tutorials, like this is how easy it is to make a proposal on something, or this is how it works, this is the reason why you want to do it. And then furthermore, after that, if the tutorials go well, you can start going into like how to protect your assets, how to do. I mean, it's just really limitless, and I think that we have a strong enough community that that type of content will really go a long way. So that's all I really got to say. I have a proposal up, or in discourse, I wrote something. It says like educating people to encourage them to use the DAO. If anyone wants to check it out, go leave some feedback.
I think
Great,
that's
thank you.
I think that's a great point, and we do have an AIP that's coming up as well. It's gone through most of the process I outlined earlier. I think it'll eventually show up in for a vote from Boring Security. It kind of hits the nail on the head for everything you were talking about. So by all means, check that one out as well. And otherwise, I completely agree with everything you're saying.
All right, thanks, guys. I appreciate it.
Maybe if I can invite another user in, so I'll go Aaron Sage. that work?
We can move on to the next.
Yeah. Okay. What about the book sweeper? I like that name. No. Meta economy.
Maybe we can just bring up, the next two or three, and then we can cue them.
Sure. So I guess meta economy.
Hi.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah, I think I want to say something very similar to the last speaker of active participation versus passive participation, also in terms of staking. I was wondering if you guys have thought about having tiers of staking based on like how actively somebody participates in the community, given we have a community of so many talented people over here who can contribute to the projects also in many, many ways, be it developers or be it product designers or UI designers, etc. Yeah, that's my question.
So maybe just to quickly address, and I think maybe the council members may have some thoughts. If you have a thought and a proposal, what you're proposing isn't something that we have necessarily considered, but right now, actually all of the AIPs that have come in have come from the community. So I would encourage you to share your thoughts to the community and bring it to them for discussion. And this could be an add-on or just could be something else so that can be discussed as a whole, right? Our broader role is really to serve as stewards for this and to serve the community. So I think, again, any suggestions you have, please propose them. We will not be able to think of all of them, right? That will be impossible. And then when it goes through the process, which Cartan will then moderate, it can then go to the floor and, in the future, potentially for a vote.
Okay, sounds good. Thanks.
Thank you.
The question for me at a more, again, like higher level is, we're talking about incentivizing behavior, and the question is how to best do that. Like, you can do that via, sure, staking tiers or grants or other ways. And so, at the end of the day, this is kind of just to explore these topics, and we're going to put these to vote, and people can essentially vote how they feel. But yeah, in this case, I feel like the question at a higher level is how best to incentivize the right behavior, which is like community members and also outside of community members to build long-term value. So projects, usage of ApeCoin that will bring long-term value.
I think.
Yeah, I go ahead.
Well, I was just gonna say I was gonna move on to Machi Big Brother. I know he's in the space, and so I was gonna ask him what he wanted to talk about. If we can move on, or do we want to continue up? Did you have something to say about what Amy had mentioned?
No. I'm happy to move on for sure.
Yo, yeah, what's up? Everybody up here is overqualified and definitely like big time players. So I'm not gonna compliment you guys more. Just a couple things. Shout out to Alex first, right, for representing ApeCoin and not just BAYC. With his profile pic, he's got big balls to be up here with that pic. But ApeCoin is supposed to be all the NFT community, and we're trying to grow it, right? We're not trying to stay within just the Yuga and BAYC ecosystem. So, that's cool. And the other one is the Cartan Group guy. Man, kind of new kid on the block, or maybe been around, but the NFT space don't know you, and was like kind of like who the fuck is the Cartan Group? But I can see you're based out in the islands, Cayman Islands and stuff, and welcome to the ApeCoin community. And then, but man, you gotta change your profile pic to like one of the NFTs. It doesn't have to be an ape, but it could be anything in the NFT community, just to be closer with the rest of us, right? Because already day one, it's like trust factor is very low in this space, and the feeling is like, I mean, for my feeling of the process of these AIPs, it's very not decentralized. It feels very centralized. It feels very old school Web 2-ish or whatnot. Like I can't even write your proposals or go to through the process of like, going through the forum, and then the speed of it is so slow. It just feels like not very DeFi or crypto friendly. Like it's like, oh, you got to go through our questions and the processes and our processes. Well, why are all these extra processes on top of this shit? It's heavy. Um, it's not like, it doesn't encourage people to want to write proposals, except for bookworms or people that are very good at writing proposals. But I'm just not good at writing proposals, so it's like, who's gonna write all that shit? Luckily, I do have people around me to help me write stuff if I need it, and we've had Lumber. Me and Lumber work together to write a proposal. But after writing all the time we spent on it, it doesn't really seem worth our time, to be honest. As everybody knows, I was the last one to flip when I was voting for AAP4 because I do believe in Yuga. I believe in dude. They get Yatsu involved and Animoca. I'm just like, dude, that's his best, you know, AAA quality people you can get to do stuff. So just, it might not be very Web3-ish, but I just trust leadership over, a bunch of anons and the public just like talking some shit about how they do it. It's easy to talk. Talk is cheap. Very hard to action. Very hard to get things done. That said, for staking, I'm good with anything. Staking is to my benefit because I know how to stake and not get my ape jacked or my ApeCoin jacked. Knock on wood. But if we're really talking about staking to incentivize people, DeFi has been working on it for a long time, and they haven't figured it out yet to avoid dumping, farming and dumping and things like that. So our staking currently, while it's very novel to use the NFT as a key, I don't think it's solved the incentive parts well. And like commitment for staking, you got to at least use VE Curve. That's Curve's model, which has been proven to be pretty successful, a lot more successful than normal staking. So VE staking, the one where you have to put up 4 years to get your full staking power, needs to be looked into if we're being serious about, you know, making people commit by staking. If it's just staking to get in and out and it's just the gas that's slowing you down, like I'm tired of seeing that narrative on crypto. Oh yeah, staking will help lock people in. No, it doesn't. Not when there's no time lock on it and it's just straight up you can unstake or stake at any time. And I saw Kobe, wrote some shit. So shout out to Kobe. Like to talk about staking or these things for us, it's gonna be like, what is the purpose, right? And part of the purpose of this, Yat did cover, is to it's a tribute and thank the BYC community and the mutants and anybody in the Yuga community for doing this. And of the 17.5%, they're trying to give what 60% of that or 70% of that to us, right? Or to anybody that will still hold these NFTs or anything in the Yuga system between now and the next 3 years. And I think it's just a distribution that we're trying to give to people. I don't think we should overcomplicate that part. The other 30% is to try to increase the participation among the NFT community. So I believe there's got to be a better way for that 30% of ApeCoin to be somehow distributed either to the punks, the me bits, any of the NFT collections and the other side, and then maybe us as the ApeCoin DAO can vote in more of these NFT projects that we deem, this is not very Web3 ethos, but whatever. We curate and we deem who is a real collection, who are not rug pullers, who are people that are going to try to build something cool with NFT technology. Doesn't matter if it's comic book companies, movie companies, it could be celebrity. Like everybody's trying to hate on celebrities, but the celebrities and any of the social tokens for influencers, whatever that can be used with the NFT community that is going to grow this new format or this new way. And I actually believe that DeFi is going to merge into NFT space because DeFi is kind of down and out or kind of quiet. It's always been too complicated, and I think wrapping it in NFTs and this art and culture is going to further DeFi. And but for me, I can talk shit. Again, talk is cheap. It's hard to get through the action. So my vote is wherever Yak goes. So it looks like this 21. Get my votes. I don't know how anybody else feels here. I do have my own competing proposal, if you want to call it a competing proposal, up with Lumberg. That's like a no staking version, but fuck it. Me and Lumberg are tired, and like we'll let Yad do it and go through all the hardships. But definitely, I believe the proposal system. I don't have a better solution, but I definitely believe it's tedious and kind of useless, and more like governance theater. That's how I feel. Thanks.
I appreciate.
I want to thank you for having the courage to come up here and speak your truth. I appreciate the candor. It definitely takes me back to many Reddit meetups, usually IRL. Of course, we didn't have Twitter Spaces back then, but I appreciate you coming up here. And I think I would give yourself more credit. At the end of the day, I think it is important to have some sort of standard, and maybe the standard can be improved. Certainly, it can be improved for proposals, but the consistency and what may seem tedious does also helps everyone in the community compare apples to apples, so that there is a standardized format. Yes, it's more tedious than just having a blank canvas, but that does help make things more efficient. I do think you started a good conversation here, though, about how we could make it more efficient. I hate to say, well, you should create a proposal for it, but ultimately, these are still early days, and the way to get things to improve is going to come from improving on this process as it is. And I appreciate you coming up here and letting us all know.
And to add to that, so thank you, Machi. I think I guess as the saying goes, Rome was not built in one day, and I think we're at a similar stage with the ApeCoin Foundation. You're right; things aren't perfect. Things are inefficient. It's not just the DAO that we have with Ape, but the entire sort of onboarding from Web 2, Web 3 is in this transition phase. So I think we're right now in this middle period where we're trying to sort of find the best compromises that we can achieve sort of the Web3 ethos, but still very much constrained with, frankly, sort of our existing frameworks, and also, as the earlier point was made, with, frankly, existing knowledge that we have as well. So in any event, thank you for this. We take all your comments certainly and reflect on it. And even if it's not you, as you keep talking about it, you may not be the person that would make the proposal to make changes, but you challenge the community to say maybe there should be a better method, and someone will make one. And just like Rome, it may take a while to get there, but we'll get there, is what I believe. Thank you.
Yeah, you're a better man than me. So I'm in Vegas, dox myself. I'm going to go have fun. I showed up because I love the ape community, ApeCoin. I got a big fucking bag. That's why I'm here. Other than that, brothers and sisters, love you all. You guys, have fun, governance theater or whatever. I believe in leadership. So I just follow Yat. And the rest of you council members, props. Again, like you guys are all great and super strong. Yuga could not have picked a better council to start this off. I know a lot of people want to get on the board or council, but once you get there, shit, man, you're gonna be in the hot seat, and then everybody's gonna talk shit on you. So, thank you guys, and then take care. Bye, guys. Bye.
Thanks so much. Maki keeping it real.
Yeah. Okay. I guess I'm gonna change my Twitter profile pic. So I don't know what time. I think we're going to go till another 15 minutes. So I think maybe we just bring in another person. Does anybody have a pick? Soulmaker 7. Soulmaker 7. I think you're on mute.
Oh shit! How's the brew? How you doing?
Very good. How are
Very
you?
good. Thanks for asking. Sorry, my question's just a little bit off topic. It's just surrounding KYC. So with regards to ApeCoin, for example, like obviously I've just been trading it on Binance and I own a couple mutant apes. But now for the other side, for example, in the future, do you see that everything that we do moving forward with ApeCoin, you're gonna have to be KYC registered?
So this is so. Let me respond actually as a party that actually went through sort of had people do the KYC. So ApeCoin and what happened with other side is not actually related with ApeCoin per se. So there is a distinction between what the companies do as a business, let's call it Yuga Labs or Animoca Brands, and what ApeCoin as a DAO and a foundation is. So they're not the same entity, right? So is it possible that ApeCoin may require something in the future to do KYC? Maybe, but from at least an initial view, it's unlikely because it's a different purpose. It serves a different sort of reasoning. ApeCoin is a foundation that serves a community of ape holders, but they're not the same thing. So this kind of question is probably better directed towards maybe the companies in question rather than the foundation. Just to keep it distinct.
Okay, perfect. So last thing, for example, let's say we need 300 ApeCoin to obviously mint the land on Saturday, with the other
Yes.
side.
So that would not be a decision that ApeCoin would be doing. So ApeCoin is not
Okay.
involved with that at all. That would be simply the person, the group. And by the way, this is maybe true for anyone who is adopting ApeCoin, right? KYC requirements may exist for multiple reasons, whether they think of this as something that might have different type of utility. Maybe it's because of the particular country that they're based in, right? So KYC requirements are actually a corporate company matter, but for the DAO itself is unaffected.
Okay, perfect. Thank you so much, bro.
Thank you.
Thank you. Ciao, ciao.
Perfect. Thanks a lot. Just moving right along. We'll go to floor dash SHN dash NFT. Dash NFT? Floor dash NFT. Sorry, these letters are all merged together on my screen. Oh, did we lose them? I think we lost them. This list 5403. I think you're on mute. Nope. I guess we'll just move on. Maybe we'll just take on one more. So this is Kodiak.
Oh, hey, sorry about that. I was just in the shower. I didn't think I was going to get called up. I know some of you guys know me. I'm a project creator myself, and I was curious. Machi kind of touched on this, but what plans do you guys have, if any, of doing collaborations with other projects? And I'm not talking about other massive projects. I'm talking about maybe showing some love to some of the mid-sized communities, Anonymice, Obits. Is there any plan of that kind of integration coming, or are you guys thinking that far ahead?
I mean, I can start. I mean, truly, absolutely. The reality is the project should submit a partnership proposal, which is going to be actually decided on by the group, right? So I think sometimes when projects reach out to us individually, we'll, encourage them to start showing up at the community Twitter spaces that we're going to start posting more regularly, or to submit a proposal or just engage with the chat. And it's not like at the top down, like we're not deciding the projects that we're collaborating with.
Cool. Thank you very much. Rock and roll, guys. Doing a great job.
Okay, well, I think that pretty much brings us just shy of an hour. So I thought maybe if we want to pass around and does anybody have anything else to add? Um, Anything else on the project? I guess the only thing that I took from this, and I'd like to go and do better on, is iterate on the process itself, make it even more transparent. I think there's going to be in any scenario, there has to be some sort of process, because at the end of the day, like engineering things or distributing capital for other people to engineer things requires some sort of check and balance, and make sure that we have enough information to present decisions and get it forward. But certainly understand that we can definitely do better, and with the community we will do better. And then just kind of a push on just like the last question. If you have ideas, if you're a smaller community, please post them on Discourse. We will review them and hopefully get them up for a vote, and get people moving forward and integrated into this community as fast as possible.
Yeah, just to reiterate on that, I mean, this is our first community forum. Obviously it's not perfect, and so we're going to continue iterating on this to make sure that people feel like they have a voice and they can come up and speak. And definitely open to feedback on what you like, dislike, and if we keep it to Twitter Spaces, so it's kind of easy for people to join. How can we make this better on an ongoing basis, and what cadence do people want to do this at?
I just want to echo the sentiment here. Thank you everyone for your time and commitment. It's been really quite exciting to see how this community has come together. As I may have shared earlier at some point, the whole world is really looking at how ApeCoin is managing this DAO. It's a responsibility that is not just sort of that of the fellow council members here, which is obviously quite a privilege to be with everyone together to do this. But also everyone who is an ApeCoin holder is kind of demonstrating how this process can evolve in a better way. So very excited about where that's going. And I just wanted to remind everyone here, if you haven't actually seen this, because there's been a lot of talk about staking and so on, but actually ARP3 was already approved by all the members and actually provides an ecosystem fund allocation, which could be subject for proposals. And I think in that sense, community members who have thoughts, whether this is a new idea, a new project or whatever, can take advantage of these ecosystem fund allocations. So I would encourage members to look at that and study that a bit to see what they might want to sort of to see there to help grow the ApeCoin ecosystem. So that's another part that we don't maybe talk enough about, but I think is something that is there for the community.
Yeah, I would agree with what Yat said. I mean, if we can think that what I encourage the community to do is, and this is what I'm spending a lot of my time thinking about, is what are the things that we can build, not just for the, base and Mutant and Kennel Club and all the Yuga properties, but also for this NFT ecosystem more broadly and more holistically, and what are the
Oh, did we just lose Mario? I thought it was just me.
I think we lost Mario.
Thanks, everyone.
Do you have any?
Yeah. I would just jump in and say a few words, which just first, I'd remind everybody that's listening here that the ultimate decision maker, so the purpose of this forum was to discuss staking in particular. And I would just remind everyone that they are the ultimate decision makers with respect to whether or not staking is implemented and how it's implemented. So while it's great to hear the opinions of the special counsel and Yat in particular, I always value Yat's input. Ultimately, this is a decision for the community to make. And I just want to remind them of that because I think it's an important privilege and also responsibility if we as ApeCoin members want to see this project succeed, it will depend greatly on our participation and active participation. That's point number one. Point number two is I would just reiterate something that actually Amy mentioned, which is decentralized governance in the beginning is messy. And I think we're learning as we go, and the process will improve over time. But again, it will require active participation. So I'd encourage everyone to be active on Discourse, to submit proposals, and let's see if we can, make the system easier and better, so that the next time we have this conversation, it just flows naturally from all of the conversations that we're already having on Discourse. Thanks, everyone.
Okay, and I'm going to call it unless anybody else want a final word at this point. I'll give you a countdown. 3, 2, 1. No. Okay. Well, I want to thank everybody for joining and letting us talk through the process. We will definitely work with the community to iterate and get better. And we appreciate everybody's patience, time, and input as we continue on. Thank you.